So far, we have been running containers through pre-built images. Now, we will make our own image. For that, I have a very simple static web page. I'll show you. This is a simple static HTML page, which currently we are viewing directly from our file system. But I want to serve this page through the Nginx server. How do we do that? First, let's do it by using the direct command. I will go back to my folder. I will open a terminal. And as we know, for running a container, we use Docker run -d for detach mode, -p for port binding. I am binding port 8080 of my system to port 80 of the container. I will give it a name as web, and then I will use -v. This is for volume. We will learn about volumes as we go further. And in this, I will do $ brackets pwd space colon space, I'm sorry, no space, /user /share /nginx and /html. As we know, every image has its own file system, so we are using the HTML folder which is present in the Nginx image itself. And then I will give the name of the image. It's the same image that we have been using for our demos, Alpine, and then run. Okay, so the container is now running. I will now go to my browser and I will say localhost 8080. And now we are serving the same HTML page through our Nginx server. You see, here it is directly accessing the folder on my system, but here it is coming from the server. Great. But every time I want to do that, I will have to run this entire command. I will have to make sure that I'm copying the correct path every single time. Instead of that, how about we create an image which has the Nginx Alpine and my HTML page together all the time. Okay, let's do that. But before we do that, let's first do docker rm -f web. I want to kill the container that we started. Okay, close this, close this. Now, let's make our Dockerfile. I will open a notepad. We saw to create our Dockerfile, we need a few commands. First one is from, next we need work directory, then we need copy, after that we need run, then we use cmd, and finally entry point. But our web page is static, it's not an application, so there is no command required to start the HTML page. So we don't need a cmd or entry point. Also, we don't want to install anything, we don't want to build anything, we are not building an application. We simply want to load our HTML page. So even run isn't necessary. Also, we saw that we are using the pre-built HTML folder that comes inside the Nginx image. We don't need to set a specific folder as our working directory. So we also don't need the work directory. Okay, so what do we need? We need a base image. We are going to use the same Nginx : Alpine And copy, we know the syntax of copy is source and destination. Now I'm going to save this Docker file in the same folder as the HTML file. That means I'm going to copy from the current folder as the Docker file itself. So for source, I can just give dot, that means the current folder, and destination would be the same. So destination would be /user /share /nginx/html. That's it. This is our Docker file. Now I will save this. I will give the name Dockerfile. Make sure the Dockerfile word starts with the capital D. That's the first thing. Also, make sure you set it to all files. And Notepad always attaches .txt extension. We don't want .txt extension. So we will put our file name in double quotes and then save. That's it. We created our Docker file. But we now have to create our image. To do that, I will fire up my terminal. And this is a very simple command. You say docker build. Okay. But we want to give a name to our image. So for that, I will give the -t flag, that is for the tag. And then I will say web-static, because I'm using a web server. I'm starting a web server for my static web page. That's it. And finally, a very important thing, you have to give the path of the Docker file. That is compulsory. So currently we are in the same folder as the Docker file itself. That means you will give a dot. Make sure you do not forget the dot. You always have to provide the path to the Docker file. Okay, let's run this. And we just built our image. Let's take a look in Docker Desktop. In Docker Desktop, all the images that you use to create a container will be available in images section. And here it is. We created our web static image. Great. Now we will run this image as our container. Going back to the terminal. So docker run -d -p. This time let's give it 5000 :80. Instead of 8080, I'm using 5000. And then I will give it a name, my image. Okay, I'll just leave it at my image. And then we give the image name. The image name is web-static. And then we run it. Okay. We go to containers and see my image, web static, and it's running at port 5000. Okay, let's go. So this is the same HTML file that we were accessing through the file system, not through the server. Now I will go to localhost 5000, not 8080. Okay, it is saying welcome to Nginx. But if I go to index.html, and there you have it. My index.html is already present inside the image and it is being served through the localhost. I do not need to copy it every single time that I run my container. Okay, so this was our very first Docker file and our very first Docker image. In the previous demo, we ran our first container using our own image, but that was a simple Nginx server that was serving a very plain HTML file. Now we will run a container that has an actual application in it, and for that we will have to create our own image with a CMD block. Let's take a look at the application. So I have a very simple Java code over here that prints a string that you present to it. So I will say Java loop, and then I will say your code galaxy, and this code prints out whatever string you supplied to it as an argument. Very simple, very straightforward, nothing exciting. Now I will fire up a notepad, close this. Okay, and we will now create our Docker file for our image. We know we have to start with from, then we need a working directory, then we have to copy our code, then we need to build our code, and then we have to run our application. For that I will add a CMD block. For from, I need a base image. The base image has to be Java and it has to be of Alpine flavor, and I'm looking for version 17 of Java. Okay, how do I find the name of the base image? It's very simple. I'll fire up a Chrome tab. Over there I will say Alpine Java. You see this Docker Hub link? Click on that. Now here you will find all the versions of the Alpine Java base image. Let's go to tags, and I want 17. So we have all these different versions of Java 17. So the name of the image is alpine/java, and the tag that we are going to use is 17-jdk. Okay, let's add that base image. So the name was alpine/java : 17-jdk. This is our base image. Work directory, I'll set it as your code galaxy. In the copy section, I want to copy my .java file into my work directory. Then I will build my Java code using the javac command, and then finally I want to run the application. So the application command is going to be Java loop, and then string I'm going to provide your code galaxy. Now we need to add the CMD block into square brackets. So I will surround this with square bracket and then add each word in quotes. That's it. Now let me copy the path of my folder and simply save this. Okay, Dockerfile. I'm going to add quotes to this because Notepad likes to attach .txt to everything, and make sure the D is capital and the name is in quotes, and then I'll say save. Let's build our image. So we know the command to build an image is docker build -t, I will say Java demo, and then path to the Dockerfile, that is dot, and press enter. Let the image build. So now we will run the command, that is to run the container. I will say docker run -it, because if you remember, my Java code is printing on the console itself. So let's keep it open, and then I will give it name as Java 1, and then we say Java demo. Oh, there is a hyphen. Let's give it a hyphen and then enter. And it's printing the string that we gave it. So this was the string that we gave it, and that is exactly what it is printing. Not an issue. Okay, not a surprise. So I will now delete this container. So we were able to run a command through CMD block, but we also know that the CMD block can be overridden. Let's try that. I will say docker, hold on, I will run the same command, but this time I will give it Java loop, and then this time I want to print new text. Okay, so I am overriding this command with this command. Okay, cool, enter, and it worked. We have successfully overridden the command block and have given our own new command in the docker run command itself. Great. I will delete the container, but let me see this one more time. What if I don't want to provide the entire command and I only want to change the string that I'm providing as the argument? Okay, let's try that. So our command was this docker run command, and in this we had given the entire Java loop new text, but this time I will remove the Java and loop part and just replace the new text part. Let's see what happens. Oh, it did not like it. This is because this entire command was replaced by just one word, and your container tried to run this one word as a command, which it does not recognize. So this is an important thing to remember. Whenever you want to override your CMD block, you have to provide the entire command, just like we did over here. Okay, and not just a single word, because that will definitely fail. Okay, but there is an exception to this rule. I will show you. Here I have a simple node application that returns a text message once you hit the port 3000 on localhost. I will show you. I will say cat server.js, and it simply sends a response that says hello from Dockerized node. Nothing special over here. I will show you how this works. Server.js, and let's see what happens on port 3000. Okay, it is giving out the simple text message in JSON format. Okay, but I also have a server-2.js, and this one says this is the other server. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to package both server.js and server2.js in my image and then run both of them from the image. Let's see how that works. I will show you the Docker file that I had created for this. It is the same. I have a from base image. I have a work directory that I'm setting. I am copying the package files. I am installing my packages, node modules. Then I'm copying my code. And then finally, I am giving the command node server.js, which is what we ran over here. So I'll show you. So this was the command that we ran, and this is the exact command that I'm providing over here. Nothing special. Let's build this image -t node demo and then dot for the path of the Docker file. That's it. Now I will run the container 3000 -- name node1 and then I will say node demo. On 3000 it is running the same. No surprises there, we already knew this was going to work. Okay, fine. Let's remove node1 and now again run the container, but this time I will give it the new command to override the old one which we have in the CMD block. Okay, running this and we have successfully overridden the CMD block. Again, no surprises there, we already saw this with Java. But we saw in Java that we had to give the entire command. We could not just give the last part. So I will first remove the container and this time let's try and remove the node part. Okay, and only provide the server-2.js. Okay, so the output should remain the same. If I show you, if I reload now, it will fail because the container is down. Okay, and now I will restart the container. Okay, and it is up again, but we were able to start it by just one word, and just one word was able to replace the entire command. But this did not work with Java. I'll show you why, and this is very interesting. Inside our Docker, let's go to the container. This is our container that is running the node application. I will go to execute. So basically execute lets you run commands inside the container, and I want to go to the path /user/local/bin. Then I will list all the files in this folder. Over here you will see a file that says docker-entry point. Okay, let's see what this file does. This is what makes the node image special. You see, here it is setting the word node before any other word which is not a command itself. So because we provided it just with server-2.js, node was able to identify that this is not a command. So node attached, the container attached the node keyword before this word, and that is why we were able to run the container even though we had not provided the entire command. So the entire command should have been node server-2.js, but we only gave it server-2.js, and the node part was taken care by the base image itself. However, this only happens, as far as I know, this only happens with node. And I'm telling you this because you should always follow the rule of providing the entire command and not just the last part or the keyword. You should always give out the entire command. Okay, great. Now I will close this. Let's stop this container. Let's go to our containers, and here is our old Java code. I will delete this, and I will also delete these images. Now let's take a look at how entry point works. For that, let's go back to our old demo, and over here this was our Dockerfile. We will keep everything as it is. The only thing I am going to change is I am adding an entry point section, and this time I will take these components from our previous CMD block and add those to the entry point, and to the CMD section I'm only leaving the argument part. Okay, and we saw in our theoretical explanation that entry point is not easy to override, but CMD is meant to be overridden. Okay, so I will save this, and now let's build an image with our new Dockerfile. So you already have memorized how images are built. So I will say Java demo 2 and then dot. By the way, because we are using Alpine images, that is why our images are Alpine base images. That is why our images are being built so fast. And now I will run docker run -it -name java 2, and then I will say Java demo 2. That was the name, right? Yeah. If I do that much and I run, okay, so we already knew this was going to happen. It's printing your code galaxy. Okay, no surprises. So docker remove force flag and name of the container. Okay, but we want to now just provide the last part. So this time I will only provide last part of the command. Let's take a look. Before we do that, let's see what our Dockerfile was saying. So docker, and we know that entry point and CMD together combine, and the command that is run is java loop your code galaxy. And this time I want the command to say our code galaxy. Okay, but I'm not providing the entire command. I'm only providing the last argument part. Okay, let's see what happens. And it runs exactly the way we expected to, because we are only replacing the CMD block. We don't want to harm our Java loop part, and because it is in entry point, it stays put. It is not changed, it is not harmed. Okay, so this is how entry point and CMD and overriding the CMD, all of that works. Hope this was helpful. Thank you. Okay, so far we have made our own image for static HTML pages. We also built a node server and we were able to override the CMD block. Great. And in the CMD block example, we were also able to use the run command to install all the node modules. Okay, now let's take a look at how the add block works. So for that, I have again three very basic HTML files. Very basic, absolutely nothing. And this is very similar to our example that we did earlier. So what I'll do is I will simply run docker run. I will serve those HTML pages through Nginx server, you know, the way we did in our earlier example. -d -p 8080:80. This is like by heart to me by now. Now I'll give it a name, static2, and then we know how to copy things. So my HTML files are inside the assets folder inside my current directory. So what I will do is I will use the $bracket pwd command, then I'll use /assets to /user/share/nginx/html, and then I will use our nginx alpine image. Okay, looks good. Okay. Oh, I must have deleted the nginx image. No problem. It will download it quickly, and already done. The container is up and running. Localhost 8080. Okay. I was too lazy to delete the cache. Okay, so now it is showing the index page. Okay, and if we go inside over here, we have the index page, we have the contact, and we have the about. So 8080/about.html. Oh, 8080/about.html. Okay, about page, and then we also have a contact page. So these are three like very basic HTML pages just for demo purposes. Okay, so yeah, Nginx is serving it. Cool, great. What's the big deal about it? The big deal is I have created a archive file, tar archive file, which has these three HTML files into it. I'll show you. I say exactly the same, and we will once more. So first of all, I will just remove this -f static2. Okay, close this, and now let's create our Dockerfile. And the most important thing that I want to show you all over here is how the add command works. Okay, again we need a base image. We do have something to copy. Okay, we do have something to copy, but we don't just want to copy it, we also want the tar file to be extracted. And we know that copy doesn't do it, but we know that add does it. So add will definitely do the extraction part, and it's the same as copy, so source and destination. So I'll show you. So we have source and destination. Okay, the source is assets dot tar dot gz, and destination is the same, user slash share slash nginx slash html. Okay, and we are going to use the same nginx colon alpine base image. Okay, since we are just using very simple HTML pages, like static pages, there is no need for run command. Okay, and also there is no need for cmd, nor there is any need for entry point. Okay, very simple. So I'm taking the base image and then I'm just copying my assets file into the HTML file, but I'm extracting it. I'm not simply copying it. Okay. Okay, and then I will save this. I will save this to the, okay, and I want Dockerfile. We put it in quotes. And then we select all files and then we do save. Okay. Now open a terminal. We know the command. We know docker. What we want to do? Build. Okay, we want to build it, and we also have to give it a tag, name to the image, and it will be add demo. And what is the important part that everyone forgets? Yes, path to the Docker file. Do not forget it. Okay, press enter. Okay, now it's done. It said add and resolve Docker IO. Yeah, it's done. Okay, no worries. Now let's run it. So docker run -d -p 8080 :80 --name add demo, and then simple add demo. That's it. Great. Now before we do anything, let's first fire up a Cognito, because there is some issue going on with my browser's cache. I'm not going to get into it right now. So localhost 8080. Okay, we are still seeing all the files being served from our nginx server. You already knew that. You already knew that we can do this, but what we want to see is the magic of the add command. We want to see that we copied the assets.tar.gz. We copied the archive file. Okay, and then it got extracted. Okay, let's see. So we have add demo. This is the container running. Okay, we'll go to view details. Here's the fun part. We can go to files. Okay, and we know what was the path. The path was /user /share /nginx /html. And you see, we don't see the assets.tar file, but we see the individual files. So add actually did the extraction for us. That's the beauty of it. So make sure that you are not using add and copy interchangeably. Add should be used only when you want to extract a zip file or when you want to download something while the image is being built. Okay. Now moving on to the next one.